Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we heard, or I guess it was yesterday, but going around the internet today, and that is the Wolves are expected to revisit the trade pursuit of Kevin Durant. Now, if you had been living under a rock, as we always say, this trade deadline, the Minnesota Timberwolves were allegedly approached, or they approached, would be the right phrasing, the Suns to acquire Kevin Durant. And the expectation is Phoenix to trade Kevin this offseason. After almost 3 years being in the desert, 2.5 attempts in terms of season, there'll be 3 playoff appearances for them if they make it this year. And if they don't win a championship, because of the punitive apron restrictions in the NBA, they're going to look to part ways. Not guaranteed, but expected. Now, the rumor we're hearing, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section before we continue. While you're there, hit that like and subscribe button, and go check out my work at USA Today's hoopshype.com. The Minnesota Timberwolves lacked a realistic pathway to acquire Kevin Durant at the trade deadline, but they still made a few calls to register trade interest and are expected to make another attempt this offseason. Real GM wrote about what Brian Windhorst said on Get Up, that the Timberwolves, with Anthony Edwards and KD supposedly being very tight, especially from the Olympics, that the Timberwolves tried to pull off a crazy trade at the deadline for KD and that they looked to revisit those talks. And we knew Jake Fisher, the Mark Stein, reported that the Wolves were serious enough about acquiring Durant at the deadline that they called a third team about potentially getting under the second apron to facilitate a trade. Now, Minnesota would likely build a trade package around Julius Randle and some combination of young players and future assets. The Wolves do not currently have any tradable first-round picks, but they could send out a number of swaps. And I don't even think having Karl-Anthony Towns would have made this trade easier. What makes this trade somewhat feasible is Julius Randle's contract being there. You have Leonard Miller, Josh Minott, Terrence Shannon, Rob Dillingham. Am I missing anybody else? Because we traded Wendell already. So to me, where you start to look at the Timberwolves right there at what they started to piece together, I think is collectively a smart way of going about it, because I think this is a team that knew, hey, we aren't in the best of situations, and let's just understand we need to stay flexible. So when you look at a Timberwolves squad that this season's second in salaries and next year under roster, we also forgot Jalen Clark was just converted to a standard deal, and there's Luka Garza, and they'll probably Jesse Edwards and Tristan Newton will more than likely be converted. Same things with Bones Highland. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is an expiring. We hope they resign him. But like I said, Josh Minott, Jalen Clark, Terrence Shannon, Luka Garza, Leonard Miller, Rob Dillingham, and then you have Julius Randle, maybe even Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo as guys who could potentially be of interest. Let me hear your thoughts. All right, per usual, we're going to pull up the Fanspo trade machine, and I'm going to actually, well, you know what? Goodbye. I'll just hide myself. We don't need me here. So let's go ahead and just pull up this trade machine. What would it, just to have a visual aid of what needs to be done. I think Fanspo does a good job. We've been doing this for a few years. I feel like a lot of people have caught on to that trend either way. Let's just pull it up. As we've said, it'd be a deal around Mr. Julius Randle. And as you guys know, you can do a trade that if you're a second apron team, you can aggregate contracts if it's a deal that gets you below the apron. So my assumption right here, because who's going to be the salary dump team this offseason? And I could see it being one like the Wizards, where because right here we're an $18 million difference. So to me, the biggest thought is, what would we do? My question is if you're like the Wizards, and so I just want to see, this is just a thought I'm having, because you would think that maybe the Suns don't want Julius Randle and they just want the space. And if we just move over right there, you're already moving 8.7. Throw in Leonard, and I guess, yeah, this is what we'll just do like that. What would I think it... I knew this wasn't going to work. You would still have to cut $3 million there. And they would have to cut $12 million in this deal if you're the Wizards. So that's what we're trying to figure out, like the tradable salaries of the players that they have on their roster currently. Like I said, you'd have Rashawn Holmes is on a non-guaranteed, like $250K is guaranteed next year. And then, for example, in this, you would just have AJ Johnson might actually be like unusable, just because they're like not playing it. And then the Timberwolves still have to cut 3.2. So what if in this scenario you send this to the Wizards? Well, the Wizards actually undo trade. You send Mike Conley to the Suns. Now they have too much money coming in, but they would be cutting Mr. So who would we take off of here? All right, let's keep Rob. And I'm trying to think of somebody else that we could replace on this deal. Joe Ingles makes 2 right there. You're still like $300,000 over what you would want to put right here. Just trying to find a deal that makes sense. Instead of Marcus Smart, could we send, who's a big contract for a team? Like, because I like the idea of a team like the Wizards getting in. And I think Marcus Smart would be great for them. And then it's like Mike Conley, you would think maybe would be the ones that they would shed. Who's a contract that they would want to ditch? I mean, they would drop Vasilija Micic already. And I hate how this is like not the off season, so technically this couldn't work. But let's see if I can modify review contract. Would we be able to? All right. Waive remaining. So if we just do like, okay, this trade is allowed. Okay, so yeah, this trade is okay. So something along this line does work. Ignore all the fucking errors that it gives us due to the fact that this thinks it's still in season. But let's say Vasilija Micic is team option. I still think this is crazy, but we're seeing what a crazy trade would look like, because I don't think something like this would 100% work. But you would find a third team like the Wizards, who Marcus Smart would be an expiring contract. Rashawn Holmes only has $250K guaranteed, so you cut Holmes. You get a backup point guard in Conley. You get some defense in Smart, or a guy you could trade, and then a combination of like Shannon and Garza and Minot and Leonard Miller would help fill out the bench. And then the Wizards just get the expiring contract of Randle, who they could buy out or just like reclamation project. Bye.